This is my 3-litre Z3 Y-Reg. Now the indicator controllers, headlights are in obviously. There's one of the controllers. I've just used a couple of cable ties in there to tie it onto the wiring loom that runs along the back there, so it's nice and secure. That's not gonna fall out. Then you can see the cable here looping from the back of the headlight down there and there. There are my two connections going to the controller. Now, when I started doing this, I've got wiring harnesses supplied, but decided that's not the best way of doing it, and so I've got a wiring harness here, but the principle's the same. So your yellow indicator cable, which activates when you indicate, tucks around underneath, and basically you've got your indicator bulb just in there, and using, it's a bit awkward to see, using your blue splicer, what you want to do, if you can see in there, on the blue cable of your indicator, put the yellow cable from the controller into your blue splicer and crimp it down so the blade clamps down onto the blue connector of your indicator bulb. That way, when you indicate, the yellow cable from your controller will receive power and flash in time with your headlight indicator. Then you've got where I've created the wiring harness coming off of your controller. One of the cables will be quite short with an eyelet on it. That eyelet wants to just come round and connect onto that earthing cable there. So front headlight, there's your earthing cable. I think it's a 10mm socket, might be 8, looks like 10 to me. Your supply cable, the long one, will then run around the side here. My cable clips are a bit knackered, I need to get those replaced. You can pick them up from BMW if yours are knackered too. Run it all the way round. I've followed, this is a part of this wiring harness that I'm using, complete waste of time. Relay as well, part of the wiring harness I originally used, complete waste of time. So yours would look a lot tidier than this, being just a single cable running round. Run it round, this lot here just unclips, those clips come off, and then this front section can lift up, and then you can neatly cable tie your cable all the way round and bring it round. Let me move around, I haven't got much space, I'm parked up against a hedge. And you can bring it round the back here. If you've got a washer bottle at the back, this is my cable where I've cable tied mine in, and go down that way. I'll come back to that in a sec. Front passenger side is the same again. I've put the controller onto this wiring harness. Same principle with the yellow indicator cable. So cobwebs, I've not driven it through the winter, so they're making themselves at home. In there, you can see spliced onto the blue cable and the yellow cable from my controller. To splice that, it's easiest if you just take the indicator bulb out. It's quite easy to take out and put back in. They're not particularly generous with cable length, so it can be a bit of a fiddle getting it out the back there. Then there's your ground terminal. Again, the short cable with your eyelet. I've been quite generous with the amount of cable that I've put on those, so there's plenty of space to move controllers to wherever you decide to mount them. Connect the eyelet onto that ground, onto that terminal, and then run the short cable. I've run it round here. I tucked mine underneath the expansion bottle there. Now, into the fuse box, wait for that car to go by, into the fuse box, what I've done is just down there, there is where I'm talking about. This is my cable. There's a grommet, a rubber grommet, which is a bit tricky to see. To take out, it might be easy if your washer bottle's back here as well. It might be easiest just to take the washer bottle out. It's a bit of a fiddle, couple of nuts back there, and the washer bottle lifts out with a bit of effort. You might end up with washer fluid just about everywhere. So if it's empty, that helps, but it's not essential. You can feed your cables through, if your hands are small and your dexterity is good enough, through that rubber grommet. That rubber grommet will then feed through, and there's my cable. So with a bit of poking and pulling, and it's the trickiest part, you can push your cable through and it will come out into this area down there. You can then use a bit of stiff wire bent into a hook to sort of fish it out, a bit like being a child back at the fairground, and you can fish it out and pull it through. I've then supplied you with a piggyback fuse, and the fuse should already be in the right slot, needs to be in the top, and a Wago on the end, which is that white block or clear block with the orange levers. Now your cable that comes from the driver's side going all the way round and into the fuse box, your passenger side coming round down there and into the fuse box, and your piggyback fuse all go into that Wago, which again I haven't got on here because I'm using this old harness which is rubbish. Piggyback fuse, I've used that fuse there, that one. Now that's a switched live, so when you turn your ignition on, it energizes and turns your halos on. When you turn your ignition off, the halos go off. That's how the piggyback fuse looks. Again, I've provided a lower ampage fuse because 10 amps is too great. I need to change that actually. So I'll put that one back in. It just pushes down. That fuse there, if we look at the fuse board, oh gosh, I can't remember which one it is. 31 to 46. So it's 46, 45, 44, fuse 44 for me. And this is just on the underside of the lid of the fuse box. It ended up being like something which wasn't essential to the safety of the vehicle. For me, telephone. Well, I don't have a telephone, and I think very few people do. It also does something else somewhere, radio. So basically, the reason I use that one is it's switched live, and if anything ever goes wrong, it doesn't affect the safety of the vehicle, such as it doesn't knock out headlights or airbags or ABS or something essential. So that's the reason for using that fuse. Hopefully that's all fairly logical and makes sense to you. It's an off-the-cuff video, so if you've got any questions, give me a shout.